you get him right off the bat. Owner, like you took a bite off of that. To human. That's how the machine guns. It's like trying to fight off a gnat. Welcome along to the Guy Harley Podcast. I am Guy Pigton.
And I am Harley Neville. And that was Eminem.
I'm apparently on the live stream currently.
No, I don't think so. I think you sound bad on the live stream. I think you're breaking up. Yeah.
I'm glitching. I'm distorting out.
We do. This podcast.
Terrible.
This episode is pretty much just going to be for the audio only listeners, I think, because your feed is so fucked.
It's not looking good.
The issue is we're on. It's Saturday night during lockdown, and now here we are, and everybody's on the internet, including us, and now we're trying to live stream. And I'm on Wi-Fi, and I'm out the back in the woodshed. I live in the woodshed out the back of this flat, and I think this is where the problem lies.
Sometimes you like to take people to the woodshed.
I do. I'm not sure what the what you're implying there. What should we infer from that?
You haven't heard that expression before?
No, I've heard of like being on the chopping block, maybe something like that.
No, when you take someone to the woodshed, you're going to give them a beating.
Oh.
It's if you've been misbehaving, you get taken to the woodshed.
Okay. All right.
For a spanking because you've been naughty.
Got it. No, I have not heard that before. So there you go. You learn something new every day on the Guy and Harley podcast.
Here to help.
Yeah, it's a shame because there's two people on the live stream watching right now.
We're probably
just in time for our worst quality show. Yeah, mighty fucked. Tyler says it's mighty fucked on the live stream. Yeah. So that's good, Tyler. You're just going to have to tune into the audio only version.
So we should. We've got a few things to talk about. It was our monumental episode 200 last week, and then now this week is episode 201. But because we recorded our longest ever, because we talked about them all last week.
Nearly 4 hours worth of content. No, of course not. But we talk this shit every week. I'm sure you've got heaps of notes, heaps of them. Well, COVID update. Tomorrow morning we go out of lockdown. We have found out 6 a.m. tomorrow we go out of lockdown in Auckland, New Zealand. This is just an update for the internet archaeologists 1,000 years in the future.
The internet archaeologists will be jizzing their pants over last episode because we went into lockdown in the podcast. Monumental.
It's true.
Record. It's like these guys actually were forced into a lockdown as they podcast out live.
It was a historic moment caught on the live stream. Tyler was there.
Saw it happen. And so we were in lockdown for 7 days, and I've got a little update on your 7 days on lockdown.
I've been getting my admin out of the way. I did my overdue GST returns.
GST's the worst.
For some things. I tidied up my CV. I did all sorts of interesting bits and pieces. Thrilling stuff like that. Edited and uploaded a vlog. Requested the files of Defender Man and The Predicament, which are two short films I acted in recently-ish for Stephen Baker, director Stephen Baker, and I requested...
You remembered the name of them this week on the podcast.
And I requested the files, probably because you asked about it last week. I had it on my mind, so I requested the files to upload both of those to the Pigville YouTube channel, and he's going to send them to me after he finishes the 48-hour film festival, which is also happening this weekend.
Brilliant.
There's probably a bunch of people frantically Googling things online about how to fix their fucked 48-hour films, because today is their shoot day. So they get their topics. Yeah, they get their topics on Friday, at 5 or 6 p.m. or something like that. And then they...
Wait, so you're not in doing a 48 hour?
No, I'm not involved in any. Nobody
No
really
one
asked me. No, one guy at
you?
work did mention it. Hadley, shout out to Hadley. He doesn't listen, but shout out to Hadley. He did mention that he was doing it. But as soon as it became and he said, about me acting in it. But then it became a COVID lockdown 48 hour, So I was like, oh, shit. I'm a lot less inspired. I doubt he even did it. I don't know if he did or not, but probably didn't do it. But I did mention to another friend, I said, actually to Stephen Baker, director Stephen Baker, I mentioned to him, look, if you need me to Skype it in, call it in. I'm keen. I'm around.
And he
did not require
didn't take
me.
you up on that.
No, did not require me on that.
Because this is the thing. So normally what happens, the 48-hour film festival, for those who don't know, is where you make a short film, as you've got to shoot it, edit, and deliver it all within 48 hours. That's the whole point of the competition. Now, because Auckland was plunged into lockdown, some people thought, well, is it going to be postponed? No. So Auckland people doing it are doing it from lockdown and you have to be incredibly creative to do a film. It doesn't matter what fucking film. You really need to be on your point. That's without a fucking lockdown and having to do somehow something interesting at all remotely over like Skypes and Zooms and StreamYards,
Yeah, well, so that's the reason why no 48 hour for me this year. I didn't really push for it. I didn't really mention. I did mention it to a couple of people, but that was before it became a lockdown 48 hour. Mm-hmm. And then once we went into lockdown, I was just like, well, fuck it. If someone calls me, sure, no problem. But I wasn't like, I'm gonna, rush out and try and figure it out. Well, I didn't even post about it. I should have said, hey, if anybody wants me for it a 48 hour via Skype, I'm keen. That's what I should have done.
To be honest, it's lucky that you didn't do the 48 hour because otherwise there could have been a conflict of interest, Harley.
Right, yeah.
Conflict of interest.
Because you are the judge, jury, and executioner.
Much like Judge Dredd, specifically Dredd, and how he dispenses justice.
Fucking Karl Urban.
That's how I
my nemesis, Karl Urban. That roll thief.
That your big break in the critically acclaimed Out of the Blue. He's Then there was rumbling, and then this big name was Karl Urban, and then suddenly, somehow,
no role for the Nevs.
This role that was confirmed was unconfirmed, and talk that they'd just gone with someone local, but that wasn't it. They'd gone with Karl Urban.
They had, and
you could have been. You know what we need to do? We need to take that. Yeah, we really need to do this if we can be bothered. We need to take footage from Out of the Blue, and then we need to record you on a green acting and sub you in doing the lines. And
we'll get Tyler Adams to put it together.
Yeah, let people imagine what it would have been had it been you. How much better it would have been had it been you rather than superstar Karl Urban.
Yeah, exactly. At the time as well, I grew out my beard and all that. They said
you had a big mustache.
They said look like you're from the 80s. So grow out your hair, grow out your beard. So I grew out my hair all long.
You had a full head of hair at the time.
Well, it was getting a little flat on top. It was losing some structural integrity.
Think about this. Obviously, we've all known Harley without hair for a long time. Had he been in this film, his hair when he would have been committed to cinematic history. So not only would he star in this critically acclaimed film that he was usurped by Karl Urban on, but it would have also been showing his locks in all their glory.
Well, not just all that, but I also was going to parties and I had this mullet and mustache for a long time, and I was going to parties, and of course, the first thing I wanted to explain was why I had a mullet and a mustache, because in those days it was a lot less acceptable than it is today, the mullet mustache combo.
You sure it's not acceptable? I have a feeling it's not any more acceptable today.
Well, yeah, I mean, you seem to be rocking it for a long time now, but. Yeah. But I was telling a lot of people. And I was proud as well. I was a young man, proud of his achievements. Harley from South Dunedin. I'm going to be in this big feature film out of the blue. And then, so of course I told everybody I met at every party, if I ever had to, I'd jump at the opportunity to explain to them why I had a mustache and a mullet, right? So then I had to live with that.
Big star.
I told everybody.
A man in his early 20s, a taste of fame, a brush with fame, stardom, working with a critically acclaimed director who'd made one of the highest grossing films in New Zealand.
Sarkis.
Duncan or Robert? Robert Sarkis.
Yeah.
And it was not to be.
Yeah.
But anyway...
Well, that was the day that
Karl
I learned
Urban
to never get too excited about anything. Never get, especially in showbiz, never get excited about a role or an audition until you've got it and you're there.
Hopes up.
Never get your hopes up.
Never believe in yourself.
Yeah.
Never.
No. That's
never
the
believe
lesson.
in yourself. That's the lesson here. Own talents.
And I did stop. I did stop believing. And now this
thank God.
This show is the closest I have to showbiz. Working in showbiz, performing.
So, so back to me being like Judge Dredd. This actually might be pulling a Harley Neville.
Yeah.
So, pulling a Harley Neville is when you announce something too early,
right?
And brag about it, and then it doesn't come to fruition. Right. That's pulling a Harley. So, I might be pulling a Harley because what I'm saying is that I am the judge, jury, and executioner at the Auckland 48-hour film festival. I've been asked to be a judge, but I will say...
You're going to have to watch so many lockdown films. I mean, literally all of them are going to be lockdown films.
They're all going to be lockdown films. But I don't watch them all.
Watch your
like,
share.
it's when they're narrowed down.
You're one of the final judges.
Well, of course I am. I'm the 99th best director in Australasia. Yeah. I mean, let's not forget, these credits are legit. Yeah. I'm not looking forward to when I slip off that list because they're going to have to stop saying that. I'm really not looking forward
the answer, mate, is
to not being able to talk about that fake list
anymore. You better put out some more projects then, and you get bumped further up the list.
So anyway, I am allegedly doing it, but it has been a little bit awkward in regards to that, and I am wondering if I've been Karl Urban. Yeah, wouldn't it be out that Karl Urban had taken my job as the judge of the Auckland thing?
That would be hilarious. That would be very funny.
That would be perfect.
That's how it would go in the project. The project version of it.
Absolutely perfect.
Yeah. Well, if that happens though, mate, I tell you what, we'll call him up. I've got his fucking phone number right here. I looked at it just the other day. I've got it right here. I've got literally it's in my.
Why have you got his number again?
Because I know somebody who abused their power at a retail store and that he was a customer at.
Okay.
And
brilliant.
That person was like, yeah, here's a receipt. And the receipt had the details, the contact details. So now I have the his phone number. I'm just waiting for that day. I'm waiting for that day when we've got a role for him. And I'm like, g'day, Karl. It's Harley here. Harley Neville. Neville? Yeah, Harley Neville. Yeah.
You stole my shine at the tender age of 23.
Yeah, which forced me to then go bald and become a shiny. And so, we'll just call him up, mate. If that happens, we'll call him up. We'll staunch him out. It'll be just like in the project where you call Donald Swanson.
Give him a call up. So there's that. Now, back to COVID, some interesting developments. And part of the COVID cluster, it is patient 0. And as we are talking, I have COVID.
Yeah.
How, you may ask, do I potentially have COVID? Well, what it turned out is that this new infection, or the of infections, one of those infections, we talked about being in South Auckland, which is where I happen to teach, and where I happen to teach, one of the places is is the other campus that I don't teach at normally. Normally, I'd be sort of very zen about it and very chill. I'd be like, okay, cool. Well, that's not my campus. So, however, it just so happened that they put up in the Ministry of Health guidelines places of interest, and they put that campus, and I was like, yeah, well, who cares? Because I don't go to that campus. And that once in like the last month, I did go to that campus. And not only did I go to that campus, I went to the campus at the same time that this place of interest was, at the same time that this person that had COVID area that was hanging about.
Did you tongue kiss anybody?
Well, this is the beauty of it, and I'm just so grateful. Well, I don't want to count my chickens before they're hatched, so I've had a little bit of a tickle in the back of my throat, a little bit of a cough, a little bit of a sniff.
Yeah.
And so today, I actually went and had my first COVID test.
Did they give you the anal one?
They did. Unfortunately, they didn't give me the anal one, which was embarrassing because I'd already pulled my pants down. You like that joke?
Yeah, I like
that joke really went down.
Yeah, well,
cool.
that's the type of joke I would say, but you beat me to it.
Yeah, it is a classic Harley Devil joke. So essentially, what happened is I pulled up to the testing station.
That's what you mean by
that. They took down all my details. I'd already been asked where the nearest testing station was to me, and I was sort of geared up for a very lengthy wait.
And where is it?
I was the only person in line.
You're the only one. It
was on Balmoral Road.
Because
just down the road.
Yeah, because maybe I need to go get one now.
Well, this is well, you'll have it if I've got it.
I sat next to you for 4 hours during the last episode of the podcast
in an unventilated room.
Yeah, in an unventilated room, clinking glasses. So wouldn't that just be ironic? Wouldn't that just be, like, we don't do an episode in person since the entire pandemic begins. The first episode we do in person is
I give you COVID.
Go into lockdown during the show, and you give me COVID.
And I give you COVID.
That's what happens when you have unprotected podcasting.
Yeah. So, there's a valuable lesson here. Never ever do another live version of this podcast.
Yeah, that was it.
Always do it remotely.
Yeah.
Never hang out with your friends. Always do it from afar. It's the only way to be safe. So anyway, then I was a little bit that diagram of someone inserting it and it tickling at the back of your brain. We've all seen that one, the swab tickling at the back of your brain, going right up your nose.
But it's fake, right?
And well, it does go quite far back there. And I sent, we all know about, Harley's girlish fainting episodes where he faints at the
merest... Do not insult girls like that. Okay?
Oh, sorry,
it's misogynistic. That's a misogynistic statement to say that I faint girlishly. I faint,
sorry.
Daintily, manly, I don't know how, but not girly.
You faint in a way that is unbecoming of a grown man. Let's just say that
I haven't fainted for years. I did get close the other week when giving blood, but I didn't faint.
So this one is going to teaching session for sure, I imagine. In fact, I could think when I was getting it, I was like, oh, Harley be passing out exactly at this moment. This is the moment Harley be passing out.
Well, why? Did you feel dizzy?
No.
Well, why would I
just
pass
your
out?
propensity for fainting at the merest, slightest anything would send you. This would send you into a spiral,
That's ridiculous.
mate.
If I'm not giving blood, so the times I've fainted,
you'd be way out of commission. You had that dick swab.
The times I've fainted have been when I have been giving blood, and oftentimes on an empty stomach as well.
And giving STDs.
And then there was when I went for a sexual health checkup and
dick swab.
A hilarious story. Wish you'd given me some warning. I had my notes ready. But yes, and the doctor had never done it before, evidently, because he grabbed an earbud and then jammed it down the eye of my penis and then started ripping it around instead of being the nice, lovely old lady with warm hands, who normally does it. I'd gone to my
caressing, gentle hands.
I'd gone to my GP instead of to a sexual health professional, and so his face dropped, and then he jammed, and then. His face dropped when I told him I wanted to get a checkup, and then he jammed this earbud in, and I was standing up instead of lying down. Normally you're lying down. I was standing up. He was kneeling in front of me at blowjob height, and jamming this earbud, this cotton bud, down the eye of my penis and shaking it all around brutally for an ongoing extended period. And then the pain reached such a level. And because I was standing up as well, so my blood was fighting against gravity too. And then so I passed out. I fell onto him. My penis went into his face, and I fell over on top of him, pantless in the doctor's room. And then I came to. With him sort of, hovering over me and putting something over my penis, putting a towel or a sheet or something over me. And then instead of helping me in any way, he ran outside immediately and sent the nurse in to get me. Great. Invite someone else into this.
Well, he's horrified.
He's a fucking trained doctor. He's a professional. He can't handle a person passing out.
He just had your STD dick in his face.
Yeah, he's got to rush off to wash his face. What else
has he got to do? He's got to wash it.
It went straight in his eyeball. The tip of my penis, the potentially infectious tip of my penis, went directly into his eyeball. So he had to rush away and wash that out for fear of transmission. I think my penis went into his mouth. Into his mouth at some point, and so to conclude that story though, I was very happy to hear, and
you faint at the knee,
and I was very relieved to hear that I did not have any STIs. Not as happy as the doctor was though. The doctor was very happy that I didn't have any STIs. 2 nuts in the butts and shiny foreskin just started following us on Twitch. So thank you very much to nuts in the butts and 2 nuts in the butt and shiny foreskin. I think it was shiny foreskin. Thank you so much.
Yeah, shiny foreskin.
Yeah.
So anyway, all I'm saying is established.
No, that was incredibly painful. You would have passed out too.
Okay, Harley. Most people, when they are in extreme pain, don't just faint.
Well, neither do I. Like, for example,
only girlish people with a girlish disposition.
Stop insulting girls by comparing them to me.
Hey, yes. So anyway, I didn't faint. They back there. It's one of those things where they're digging around. This is not very nice, and I'd really like them to stop. And about the time you think that, they kind of stop and pull it out.
Yeah.
Say thank you very much. Drive on.
Yeah.
So all I'm just doing is pre-warning you, so you can pre-warn the person about your fainting episodes.
I don't have fainting episodes.
Once, right?
But yeah. They're good.
So
good.
We'll keep you posted. Either I'm patient zero or I'm absolutely fine, and it's just a little bit of a cold. If I was a betting man, I would definitely bet on the cold.
Well, as would I.
because you also, at the end of the day, I really think that if I did have COVID, I would feel
well, that's
worse
one of the common problems, though, isn't it? Right? Sometimes the symptoms
different.
are really, really mild, and so, or you're
True.
completely asymptomatic, and that's the problem. It's different for different people. But then you bump into somebody with an immunodeficiency disorder of some description, and it ravages them, or just somebody with, a bad immune system.
A weak disposition who faints a lot.
Yeah. Well, stay away from me.
So lockdown, because obviously now that there is a slight potential that I do have it, I've got to lock even more than the average lockdown until those results have come back to be responsible. And it's going to be touch and go with the toilet paper. I'm dead.
Well, I would bring you some
halfway through my last roll.
I would bring you some.
And I had a curry last night.
Oh, you're fucked. Yep. You'll be doing it with your hand and washing it in the sink, South Dunedin styles.
Yeah, I'm worried.
Yeah.
So,
well, I would bring you some, but you keep saying that I faint. I faint. I've got a dainty disposition.
A weak disposition.
Yeah. So you're fucked. You can just wipe your bum with your hand and live with that.
You could have put some through the. You could sort of left some on the doorstep, But,
Now, there's a cult leader in New Zealand whose name is Brian Tamaki, and he's got
the cult you're speaking of is Christianity.
Well, it is. He is a sub branch of Christianity, but one of their own little
bit like subhumans.
Yeah, well, they are. I've met a few of them. So the name of his church is Destiny Church, and there's this cult leader who called Brian Tamaki. You can look him up if you want. Go and Google him, Brian Tamaki. And so he is one of these, like he's modeled himself on the American evangelical Christian cult leaders, and so he gets all the money and lives a sort of a high profile lifestyle, but he's doing so all off the donations that the church receives from the flock of poor souls that have been conned by him, drawn in, and they don't pay tax because they're a church. And so anyway, he's a con man at the head of a cult, and a controversial figure, and a coward and an anti-vaxxer. And so he ran away a few hours before the lockdown kicked in. After the lockdown was announced, but before it had kicked in, him and his wife ran away from Auckland to get out of level 3. But not only did they do that, they went out of Auckland to go and visit all of their churches all up and down the North and South Island. So if they have it, and if you think about it, they meet a lot of people, at these big congregations of cultists, that obviously, there is a potential for these people to, get the virus, and now they're going to go and visit all of their flocks up and down the country. That's incredibly irresponsible. Very irresponsible. That's a series. It's a tour of super spreader events right there. So that's what he's up to, Brian Tamaki. And these guys are anti-vaxxers as well, apparently. That just came out. And they've got, obviously, a lot of really gullible followers. And so all of those gullible followers are already, a bunch of them are already anti-vaxxers anyway. And so this is just going to kind of, further it and make it worse. So, yeah. And I've met a few Destiny Church people. And they were just like you'd think they would be, sometimes you meet people and you're like, you're a little bit special, aren't you? I can tell you're a little bit special. And, you smile and laugh and have a conversation with them. But you can sometimes sort of tell they're a little bit special. And then when they talk about things like, anti-vaxxing or flat earth or 5G and stuff, you're not surprised, because they're that type of, personality already. And yeah, that's what his followers are like. But like I said, I'm not surprised that he's spreading this he's going up and down the country, because as I mentioned with the Trump-Pence the end will be heralded by trumpets, Trump Pence. Christianity is a death cult. And so I'm not surprised that they want to do these super spreader events.
Yeah, well, death. Technically that is true.
They're looking forward to death. They're literally looking forward to death because beyond death is heaven. And they get to be with their God, who has killed a lot of different people by their own admission, has killed a lot of people, including his own...
A lot of smiting.
And including his own son. And then now these cultists wear the Christian cross, which is a torture instrument. Like what part of Jesus' story makes you think that he wants to see crosses? Like he doesn't like crosses. Why are you wearing that? Right? I'll tell you why.
He gets triggered when he sees a cross.
So that's the thing. They are a cult, a death cult. They're based around death. The whole thing's death. It's all about death and what happens after you die. And to delve a little further, the reason why is because they want to. The reason why is because when the Romans decided to use Christianity in order to control the masses, they picked one of the obscure cult leaders. One of them happened to be called Jesus and happened to have some followers, and they said that we're going to call this the new main. We'll focus on this to unite people, to get the slaves believing that after they die, that's when they get their reward. And that they should just be happy with their lot, and that suffering is
to build the pyramids,
good, and all that type of thing. Yeah, well, the pyramids were way before Jesus, like 3,000 years before Jesus.
Well, I think you'll agree that we've all been doing a bit of smiting ourselves during lockdown.
Yeah. I assume that's a wank joke.
Clarify, but yeah.
Right, yeah. Well, it was kind of like Richard Lambeth's wank joke on the live stream. He said that he's sure I gave blood during the lockdown, but I think he means by wanking so hard that I cum blood. I'm not sure about that. So I feel like both your guys' jokes are on a par there, and both equally questionable.
I just have to go back to... I guess I have to go back to joking about anal swab.
Genius stuff!
When I do my COVID test, Harley. I guess I'll have to go back to that instead. That high bar I set earlier.
Yeah, exactly. There is a big difference there, buddy. Big difference.
Huge difference.
Regarding the COVID, I did also want to say another thing on a slightly more serious note about COVID, a more serious observation, which is that it's been a year now, very nearly 1 year since we first went into lockdown. And on the one hand, I'm very excited about the future, and I feel like there's light at the end of the tunnel, and that with the vaccines and all that, things are going to get better. But also I feel like we're in for a really exciting time in terms of the economy, like basically a rebuild where, like a phoenix coming out, it's going to be rising from the ashes. It's going to be, like a really good time for the economy coming up as basically we rebuild, and all of this old... all these crappy old-fashioned, business models have disappeared, and things are falling over, and new stuff's coming through, and a lot of that stuff is renewable and electric and all of these types of things, and green, and it's all very exciting stuff. But the thing about like rising from the ashes as a phoenix is that first you've got to burn, and that's the painful part, and we're in the burning, painful part perhaps at the moment, and one of the things I've noted is like quite a number of businesses shutting down. So for example, on Dominion Road, there's a place that used to be 2 pubs and a Westpac and a Nando's, and a few other things, and now both of the pubs are shut down. The Westpac's shut down. Westpac's a bank, by the way, and the Nando's burger joint or chicken joint, I believe, is shut down as well. So, there's a whole bunch of kind of shuttered shops down there, and it's like, wow, that's COVID. Also, a bar that I hold events in down in Wellington shut down because of COVID as well, which is a pain in my fucking ass because now I've got to find a new venue for my events. But yeah, so there's some the real world effects of COVID are definitely starting to creep in and be seen on the streets of Auckland.
Yeah, well, a stripper friend of ours mentioned a large downturn in business due to COVID, and I sort of said, wait, so there wasn't like a big rush, a big surge when the lockdowns eased? And she was like, no, not at all. Like, people learn to live without. I was like, damn. And I was like, so you're telling me that COVID killed the cinematic movie-going experience and going to strip clubs? This is dark. This is the darkest timeline right here.
Which stripper friend is this? What does her name start with?
Oh, well, you know her well.
Okay, all right. So,
all right, well, moving on, continuing on. I think I know what you're putting down.
Well, she needs to get on OnlyFans, and all the strippers need to get on OnlyFans. They need to get on out there, get their asses on OnlyFans. You can do live streaming on OnlyFans, of course, and getting paid.
That's all
and
true.
Just doing it in your house.
But I will say that the point of difference, right? Like, what's the point in going to a strip club when there's an abundance of free porn online? Yeah. And really, it's the same. It's the cinematic experience. It's right there. Yeah. It's right in your lap.
I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying it's
right on your lap.
Yeah, but I'm not saying it's.
And
better.
so I just feel like the transition is, like we're going from hundreds to thousands of dollars per night to tens of dollars per night.
No.
Doing the same
thing. You
thing.
Get a lot of money on OnlyFans. You can get potentially more money, and you don't have to touch anybody. And you don't have to.
Not everyone
do
can.
everything. You got to build it up.
Not everyone could be a sensation on OnlyFans like you.
It's
Harley.
true. Some people don't have the cunning to figure out the formula,
business acumen,
the business acumen to become
to put your hairy feet on OnlyFans. Not everyone has that business acumen.
I'll have you know that I've made more than $3,000 on OnlyFans now. $3,000 bucks.
That's a lot of money.
That's $3,000 bucks.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. And what I'm going to do with that? It's nothing to be sniffed at. Just like my feet. And so I'm going to put that money on cryptocurrency because I've downloaded an app and it's super easy. All you've got to do is pay with your credit card and you can buy Bitcoin and other stuff like that on this app. So I'm all set up. I'm ready to rock. I bought a little bit the other day and it went up in value ever so slightly. And so I'm going to take that OnlyFans money, transfer it over, gets me some cryptocurrency.
You're investing. So we should also give a shit. Shout out to Richard Lambeth. He's asking if the stripper friend is single. I believe.
Well, as far as
I believe she is.
Where she is. Yes. Actually. No, actually.
That horn dog.
No,
Richard.
actually, no. I think she's got a rich boyfriend.
Okay, that makes more sense to me.
No. Pretty sure she's got a rich boyfriend, actually. So, sorry, Richard.
Yeah,
you're out of luck, mate. Richard.
Of course.
Yep.
But we should just give a quick shout out to Richard the horn dog on the live stream, because his is really, really funny. And if you want to have a laugh, he's always doing fun Instagram, Richard Lambeth, at Richard Lambeth, I'm assuming. So people should give him a follow there because I just started following him after not following, or I just don't really look at Instagram, but I started looking at his stuff and it's like, man, it's hilarious. He was on lockdown. He did a lot of funny stuff on lockdown when he came back from quarantine. It's all just good stuff there. So, give him a follow on Instagram. It's definitely highly entertaining stuff.
And while you're there, you might as well also follow Harley Neville as well, at Harley Neville. I think it's at Harley_Neville. But
well, they're already following you.
They're not. I need more followers on Insta, to be frank. But some of them will be.
So shout out to him.
All right, well, I've got a couple of shout-outs too. I wanted to shout out to Matt Wishart. Matt Wishart played a song in our film Older, and he was
which sadly we had to cut.
Yeah, and it was good. It was a good song, and it made it the cut of the film that I saw has still had quite a lot of his song in it, and it was good, and it fit really well, and it was really nice. But for whatever reason, it didn't work out. It ended up on the cutting room floor. But he said that he sent me a message to say that he finally got around to watching the film recently, and that he thought it was great. He really loved it, and that his missus said that it was very relatable and well shot, and that she liked it too. So thank you very much, Matt. Not that you listen, but thank you very much, Matt, for that feedback and for watching the film. And shout out to your missus too.
Yeah, thanks, Matt, who's not listening, and thank you for your time to do that and be there and help us out. Unfortunately, it was nothing to that song, and I was trying credits for a while to kind of keep his song because he's a singer, he's a musician, and he'd done this song, and we're like, can we use that? He's like, yes, this is my song. And he was performing it in this scene, but the whole scene, just for sort of timing purpose, and it was just a bit unnecessary. So obviously, subsequently, his song did too, and I was like, I need in, but I just couldn't find a good way to do that. And sometimes performer anything like other reasons that you might cut something, but I think that whenever we get cut from something, we're like, oh, I must have done a shit job. I must. In reality, it's nothing to do. A lot of the time, it's nothing to do with the individual, but more sort of the great thing, and perhaps a failure on the writer's behalf.
What to not to what? How?
To have created an unnecessary scene and shot it when they just needed to know how to write better in the first place.
Yeah.
Fucking idiot.
Well, I said something similar to that to the writer of Older once when we're about to make Emmy the Vegan, and the writer of Older got quite upset at that suggestion.
Well, as I recall, you did say something along that line to the writer, but it was actually about coverage that was shot, not specifically the writing.
The conversation
way that he covered scenes as a director, and the way another director was better at covering scenes and understood what he wanted in a way that a certain Guy Pigden didn't.
Right, so that's a classic misremembrance of it.
Okay, well we have
the real version.
It was someone else was there too.
They were, and the real version of it was that the issue was that the too much writing of things that we end up shooting for no reason, and then it ends up on the cutting room floor anyway when we could have written it out at the beginning. And the reason why this point was brought up at the time was because we were in a pre-production meeting talking about how to shoot it in the most economical way, shoot the project in the most economical way, which is obviously to write out a bunch of stuff at the beginning so that it doesn't end up getting shot for no reason. And then perhaps where the miscommunication came in was I said something like, so we end up shooting too much when it all ends up on the cutting room floor, which you could take perhaps as coverage if you completely took it distanced it from the conversation we were having at the time.
Well, you compared me directly to another director and a specific scene that was shot with another director recently.
I don't remember that. I don't remember what director you're talking about. I don't know what.
I do.
Or what scene was reshot.
I remember it vividly.
Yeah.
And you know what else?
What?
We didn't cut fuck all from Emmy the Vegan. It was all...
Yeah, because we wrote it out at the beginning, as per the producer's direction. There was a bit that we cut out. There was a few bits that we cut out though.
Also, that is the other thing is. I still sort of am of like, I'd much rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it, because I had exactly the opposite in Zombie Holocaust, and we all remember chubby little hand in our backyard fumbling about pretending to be a completely different character after transporting some dirt from somewhere else to make it look like a scene from Dunedin. And we don't want to have to do things like that.
No, I guess the difference is though that you've got to plan it at the beginning when you've got a $5,000 budget. That's the issue with that.
Well, you got to plan them.
But you're better off to you're better off to not have it, not have shot it, and not have wasted the money and time if you've only got $5,000.
Well, unless you need it.
Well, yeah, but you've got to choose one or the other. You know, which things do you need more? You know, so you've got to get the basic important bits covered first, and then anything beyond that.
Oh, for sure.
So
got to get
exactly. So you've got to identify the meat and potatoes, and make sure that is shot.
I don't really think identifying the meat and potatoes has been a big issue recently.
No. Why not?
Just that, like, there's like the things that we filmed in recent succession have all been the last most overshot thing we shot was older, and part of that was, you know, changing directions in terms of story flow and bits and pieces like that, and also
we're getting better.
Getting better, absolutely, and also understanding the rhythm. Well, just understanding a bit more about filmmaking, really. But yes, so what were we talking about before that? Shout outs to people.
Okay, because I do have another shout out. We were talking about, I think that was just it. We were just talking about shout outs and older, and that guy, Matt Wishart, who ended up on the cutting room floor.
Who was an older.
And so I do have another shout out here. This is for the beer sponsor of this week's episode. And I noticed, Guy, that you're drinking last week's whiskey this week, not coffee.
I am. I had a coffee right off the bat to wake me the fuck up. Then I am sipping on Jack Daniel's neat.
Ooh. Yeah, so
because I don't have anything to mix it with.
Well, I'm drinking it neat as well, but I've probably got something to mix it with. But so shout out to Jason Petty de Coombs for that, but also shout out to Everyday Actor, aka Andrew Hill, who is the official beer sponsor of this episode of the show, because last week he said that he on the live stream he said that he was going to give a $20 donation via PayPal to pay for this week's beers. So he did that. He followed through with that. So thank you very much to the official sponsor of episode 201, Andrew Hill, aka Everyday Actor. He is an actor, so go and find him. He was in Emmy the Vegan, and a couple of his shots made it in. He was in the Meat Eaters Anonymous group. Which unfortunately that scene basically all got cut. Pretty much all got cut out.
Speaking of
all the things that got cut out, that all got cut out. We shot it, but Andrew showed up, but it all got cut. But there's still a shot or two of him in there, so he was happy with that. So shout out to Andrew Hill, official sponsor. We do appreciate it. He watched I Survived a Zombie Holocaust for free somehow. And he said that that's what the beer money was for, to make up for, you know, watching I Survived a Zombie Holocaust without having paid for it, which suggests that he found it on a pirate site somewhere or something like that. Or maybe he just watched it on Amazon and didn't really pay per se. And so was that. And then he says here that it's been a Guy and Harley film festival in our house these last 2 days. I can say that I thoroughly enjoy the films that you two men have produced. My wife and I have just finished watching Older, and I definitely connected with this film. Be proud of your work, guys, and just imagine what you'd be able to produce with a bigger budget. I'm looking forward to watching your future productions, whatever they may be, while I continue my own personal journey in the film and TV industry here in Australia. So shout out to you, Andrew, and thank you so much for those kind words.
Love it. Thank you for help TV, which was greatly appreciated, and thank you for kind words to keep us going. And I guess I should mention, if we're just doing, you know, people telling us how great we are,
I do have another shout out as well.
Well, I will just quickly say I did get a shout out. So we expanding older into, 24 or 32 more territories, 30 something more territories, translated it to French at great expense. And I got my first message from a French assuming
nice
had seen it after the film last night, and it left me in awe. In the future, I am work again in any festival or
well, what you do when you get a message like that, Guy, is you go, yes, well, actually, if you'd like to see more of my work, here's how you can watch I Survived a Zombie Holocaust on Amazon, or Emmy the Vegan might be, or both.
I hit him up for the reviews on older is what I do, because I'm still looking to push up the algorithm. So I say, hey, thank you very much, blah, blah, blah. And I talk to them about where they can rate and review it.
That's good too. That's good too.
Need to manipulate them algorithms.
If anybody would like to help us, go to olderfilm.com and you can watch Older there. There's the big buy, all the different big buy now button, olderfilm.com. Hit the buy now button and you can watch our second feature film, Older. And if you give it a rating on IMDb or Amazon Prime, that really, 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 really helps us. So please do that. Now, I do have one other shout out here. I did also want to shout out to Jamie Oxley. He said that he was going to send us some bootleg moonshine booze that he's been brewing. Now, Jezza Housen...
Yeah, I'm part of his group.
Oh, yeah. Right, yeah. Well, Jezza Housen... who was on the live stream, he once tried to send us some homebrew beer, but it exploded on the way, unfortunately. But shout out to Jezza for that. But yeah, so Jamie was saying he's going to send us some homebrew moonshine of his own, brewing. And I said, well, as long as it doesn't make us blind, we'll drink it on the show. So shout out to Jamie Oxley. He's a truck driver in the outback of Australia, and I always sort of just picture him, just cruising through the outback. On this huge land train, just I imagine him under a blanket of stars, just horizon to horizon, just nobody around, this unsung hero, just delivering, the things we need to the people that we love, with nothing to keep him company except for the Guy Harley Podcast and the slowly decomposing corpse of a Truckstop Hooker. Shout out to Jamie.
Truckstop Hooker. Yeah,
that's a thing.
I mean, is that a thing?
That's a thing. You never heard of Truckstop Hookers? Christ, where have you been?
Yeah, not really.
Yeah, okay. So picture.
So they just hang out at truck stops?
So this is picture like America, right? And they've got these big trucks going backwards and forwards crisscrossing the country through all the flyover states, driving along, and every X amount of miles, there's places that have a big parking lot for the trucks to pull up and park and go inside and, go to the diner or, get a hotel for the night or whatever, these big truck stops. And at the truck stops hang out hookers that will sleep with the truckies for the agreed price. Yeah, you didn't know that.
Well, I see you've gone in depth on this.
Yeah, well, the lap dance is so much better when the stripper is crying. So I know about these things. That's I actually learned everything I know about Truckstop Hookers from the Bloodhound Gang, which that was a quote from.
Yeah. That's right.
So, and that's all about a trucker cruising along. So yeah, shout out to Jamie Oxley. Yeah.
Nice.
If I was a trucker,
murderer.
Yeah. Well. Well, no, just one.
I'm glad your perception of him is of a murderer that sleeps with hookers.
No, I didn't say that he had slept with them. I just said that there was a dead hooker in the cab. That's all I said.
Just good. Well, okay.
I didn't. You're the one who said that. Shame on you.
Okay. So he just picked this one up. He just
He
found it on the road, like
It
a dead kangaroo
was,
carcass, but it was a
who
dead
knows?
hooker.
I mean, like, that's the beauty of a story like this, is that you just, you know, you end it there and then you let the listener decide where it goes after that. But exactly, but maybe,
like the best films,
just maybe, he did find her beside the road. He put her in the cab, and now he's taking her to the mortuary, you know, because he, you know, is a gentleman when it comes to corpses. A helpful person, you know, like there's hundreds of miles. She's hundreds of miles from anywhere.
Just a nice guy.
So yeah, shout out to him. Catch 22 last week. Do you have any topics that you wanted to bring up? Because Catch 22, I was just going to say, we talked about Catch 22 last week with Tyler Adams. Tyler Adams said that.
Yeah, there was a deep cut from Tyler Adams.
That what?
That he brought up Catch 22, and we happened to listen to Catch 22 in our youth. You know, getting drunk, drinking Mississippi. God, that horrible Mississippi moonshine.
It was delicious. It tasted like bubblegum. What?
God.
Why would that be a deep cut though? A deep cut is a harsh
a deep
thing
cut
to say.
Because no, no, deep cut as in the expression is a deep cut as in a deep cut on a vinyl record, as in an obscure title or track that not many people have heard. So a deep cut is someone talking about something that is not necessarily mainstream. So Catch 22 is a relatively small ska band from 20 years ago, you know. Therefore, it is a deep cut for Tyler to mention that. And it just happens that we love Catch 22.
You learn something new every episode on this show, don't you?
There's two things I've taught you, Junior.
Shit.
Junior.
We're going to turn it this whole episode. Everything's turned upside down. Well, I did say to Tyler, I said last week, so we played a bit of one of the songs. It turned out I played the wrong song. I didn't actually mean to play that song. I meant to play a different one. But anyway, nevertheless, I played a bit of a song last week from Catch 22, and I said at the time, well, I hope this doesn't affect our copyright. It instantly affected our copyright. They could hear it playing through. I was playing it through my cell phone, and it went into the microphone. It went out onto the air, and now we can't monetize episode 200 of the Guy and Harley podcast, which is a shame because it's the first live one, and you know it did actually get a reasonable amount of traffic. You know, well, more than normal for the YouTube. But if you know, as it happens, we're not monetized anyway, so it doesn't matter too much.
So what's the rule around monetization in terms of that you can't monetize something that has copyrighted music in it? But at what does your clip get taken off for having that copyrighted music on it?
It depends it depends on what that musician has decided to do. So the musician might have a thing saying, don't let people use my shit at all, in which case the audio will just be muted on your video.
Damn.
Or you can, or they might say, yeah, let them use it, but we get all the advertising revenue, which is probably what they said. Or their company, their distribution company said. And then they do give you the option to go back and just mute that part of it. So I could go back and just mute that out if I wanted, but I didn't bother. And so it depends basically what that artist or the company has said.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting because I was hoping to use a clip from a famous Western. In that, obviously, the artist, the composer, the musician is Sergio Leone. Rest in peace. He recently died. I think he died last year. Non-COVID related.
Right.
I don't actually know if it was related. I think he just had a fall and then he died, which is how most of us end our life, or a lot of us. You know, when you used to fall over when you're a little kid, you stub your bloody knee, you go crying to your mum.
I'm pretty sure
if you do it when you're 80, you're dead.
Yeah, well, it's true. It's one of the perils of getting old. I'm pretty sure that the Eve, there's a word, it's like mitochondrial or something like that, maybe, but like Eve is the first ancestor, the earliest ancestor of all humans, is this monkey they found called Eve, that every single human alive today at one point, is alive because of that Eve. So that monkey Eve fell out of a tree, fell over. There you go. And that's what killed her.
Happens to the best of us.
There you go. It happened to our great times several hundred grandmother, Eve. Now, on the live stream, Richard Lambeth points out that Harley doesn't know what a deep cut is, and Guy doesn't know what a Truckstop Hooker is. This show is so educational.
Well, to be fair, I mean, it's not that I don't know what a Truckstop Hooker is.
Can deduce.
I understand. I just didn't think that.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, I know all about them. Now, also on the live stream, Tyler Adams did say that he said Keysby Nights we're talking about which song we played in that. Now, here's the thing. The album is called Keysby Nights, right? But the song I played was the first song on the album called Dear Sergio, when I wanted to play Keysby Nights, the actual third song. I just, I fucked up and I pressed play on the album, not on the song Keysby Nights. So that was what happened last week. So we ended up playing another still good song that also we still got drunk to back in the day. That's what happened with that.
And shout out to Tyler Adams, who is considering.
Yeah. And getting his mum to sponsor a feature film with us,
which would be actually both of those things would be great things. But I will say, looking forward to having you over here, Tyler. Where our lockdowns are 7 days as opposed to 7.
Yeah, life's good over here.
Life's pretty good over here, even when you're patient zero.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I'm going to Wellington on Monday for a recce, because I've got to go down there to find this new venue, seeing as the one that I used to hold these events at shut down over COVID. So I've got to find a new place now. So basically, I'm going down there on Monday to have a look around at several different potential venues to start holding this screening of short films at, which begins next month. On my birthday, April 13th, I know for a fact I'm working. I know for a fact I'm going to be in Wellington at whatever this venue is, hosting these short films and playing these short films. Which I'm not really looking forward to, because there's going to be a bunch of tech issues, because it's the first one at a new venue, and there's a Q&A afterwards, a live Q&A with a Scottish person afterwards, but it's all being done via Zoom. So I'm hosting a live Q&A on the big screen, and I've got to talk to them. They've got to hear me. They've got to hear the questions from the audience, I guess, but I guess I'll just have to relay them, and the audience has got about to hear their response and all that. So, it's going to start stressing me out as I get closer to it. But anyway, on Monday I'm going down for a recce, and I'm going to go down there just to have a look at a few different venues and find the best place to host this event, which is essentially just a glorified pub crawl if you think about it. I'm just going from pub to pub until I find the appropriate one for this venue.
Yeah, well, I've got a question. Well,
obviously, because I need to fly down there to have a look at the space, because it's one thing to
do a video, send it through to you.
Yeah, one of them did, but one of them did send a video, so I did do that. But the thing is, it's still kind of hard to tell exactly what it is and if it's quite right, and also talk to them about the specifics in person, about sort of what it's all about. Now, sure, it could be done from afar, but it's more difficult, and I've also got to get down there and sort out the projector, which was at the previous venue. So, but it's our projector. So
the projector that went out of the bar that went out of business.
Yeah.
Right.
So I've got to get that projector, because it's our projector. So I've got to get that projector from the place and talk to the people, and it just makes sense. Go down there, do a recce, get it sorted, see it in person, make sure it's all going to work, take my laptop, drink a few beers, do some tests, because I don't want to show up on the day. I don't want to show up on the day just with my laptop and a dream and go, all right, I'm sure this will be fine. I want to see the venue, make sure it's appropriate, make sure it's going to have enough space and enough seats and a good enough sound system and a good enough projector and all that, because there's going to be paying customers who are going to show up with tickets and be like, what the fuck is this if I don't have it good,
Yeah, well, okay. So no birthday celebrations then. Your birthday's cancelled.
No, well, I'll be finished by like 8:30, 9 p.m. And our dear friend Nick Larson will be down there, and Jason Rogan. However, they are old men now, and it is a weeknight, a Tuesday night.
Very old.
Tuesday night, and they both have the type of work where you start at like 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. So I really doubt they'll be down to fucking party too hard. It'll just be me and the Truckstop Hooker.
Interesting.
So that'll be my birthday. But to be fair, I wouldn't normally party. If I was going to have a party, I wouldn't have a party on a Tuesday up here. I'd just have it the following weekend on the Saturday or the Friday, when people can actually come. So
I've just received so I don't know about you, but friend request me on Facebook for the purposes of spamming.
Which is a good strategy, and it's the same strategy that I used to have, and I probably very much encouraged you to do, but now I'm a little more discerning.
Well, you got too many friends? That's your problem.
I still can have more, and I want to get to the 5,000, but I want the 5,000 to be a good 5,000, not a shit 5,000. But I don't mind. They can be randoms, but imagine if I had 5,000 people from Ponsonby. Imagine if I had 5,000 filmmakers from Ponsonby. And artists from Ponsonby in Auckland,
There's not 5,000 of those.
No, but
Ponsonby.
Say I had 5,000 creative, movers and shakers from within New Zealand that I was Facebook friends with. Well, that's quite a valuable profile that I have there. A lot of direct connection to important people, and they're seeing my stuff. Whenever I share things, these important people are seeing, these influential people are seeing it. Again, back to that strategy of adding them. But so I've become more discerning in the sense that I have a really keen eye for spotting fake profiles now. If they're like "fuck me, daddy," then I know they're probably not real.
If they ask you to go on a date, they're not real.
Yeah, basically, that's the rule. That's the rule.
You delete and block anyone that asks you on a date.
Yeah.
So anyway, I've just got a message from Sani Karangia. Sani Karangia.
Shout out to Sani Karangia.
She works at the Samsung company. She lives in San Francisco, California. Right. She is single. She appears to have... now, I don't know if any alarm bells are going off yet. She has 3 photos on her Facebook. One of them is
her profile picture... Sorry, is her banner picture a picture of her... And her profile picture, a picture of her? No.
So her banner picture is a photo of a Samsung building, and her profile is a indiscriminate, seemingly Caucasian lady leaning on a bench and smiling.
Nondescript?
Not super hot, surprisingly. And then in her little brackets, so it's Sani Gia, Lisa, Kathy. 2 first names. Not sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, hello, sir. Kathy from Company USA.
Well, let's not judge her for her English.
We have good news. We have a good news for. We have a good you. Hi, speak to me.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna
alarm bells ringing on that one for sure.
No, this seems like a good person. This seems like a nice new friend.
A good connection
for me
at Samsung and San Fran.
Seems like a nice new friend for me.
Samsung San Fran. Yeah, yeah.
So Sunny from Samsung.
Yeah. Oh, good.
So we'll update you
if she gets back to you.
That escalates any.
Yeah.
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 I also notice you're wearing a Spates t-shirt there,
I
Harley.
am wearing a Spates t-shirt.
Why on earth would you want to be advertising one of the worst beers in New Zealand?
Now, I'll have you know something, Guy, that Spates has been the pride of the South for over 100 years. 100 years, Guy. It's been keeping parched people, it's been keeping them hydrated and happy. This is a fine...
It's been tricking
it's a
drunk
fine
people.
brew. Spates. Every now and then I even choose it voluntarily. Every now and then. The last time I had one was at our dear friend.
You would never
I
do
did.
that.
I chose a Spates at our dear friend Bones's wedding recently, his second wedding. I went along to that and I got a quart, which is a big bottle of beer. I guess I don't know what they call it in America, a 40 maybe, but like a quart of beer, a big bottle of beer. I got one of those. It was a Spates and a reusable bottle that you give back to them and they refill it. Yeah, Spates, mate. Pride of the South for over 100 years. Spates.
The only thing that I think about when I thought from the disgusting, horrific taste and the relative affordability of it, you said disgusting taste, is that they used to run ads on television. I don't think they do anymore. I used to watch television. I don't even know if they still run these ads. But it was like a young farmer and an old farmer, them hanging out and basically drinking a Spates, and they'd say like a couple of lines and then be like, oh, she's hard road finding the perfect woman. And then the other guy would be like, because she doesn't drink Spates though. I'd find the perfect woman.
Yeah.
Good on you, mate. And so there was these Spates ads, and it was the same two guys, and they even did like a news piece on the guys having, they'd done it for like the last 10 or 15 years. Like it was some quite lengthy period of time, and it was the same guys. And then I think eventually they maybe subbed out the old guy towards the end. And I was just thinking to myself, like, now savvy to the business, how those motherfuckers essentially, probably off just doing those stupid fucking Spates ads, good on you, mate, would have essentially made a living.
Oh, yeah. Hundreds of thousands. And they would have got hundreds of thousands.
All they had to do was maintain looking weather-worn and being able to say, good on you, mate.
Yeah, well...
Good on you, mate.
They would have got hundreds of thousands because the ads.
What a gig.
The ads played for so long. The ads were a series of ads that continued for being shot for a number of years, and then also it was an alcohol brand, which you always get paid more for an alcohol brand. Like right now on this podcast, I'm getting paid so much money for wearing the Spates t-shirt because it's an alcohol brand.
Pay me to wear this t-shirt.
Oh, bullshit. If you got offered a Spates ad tomorrow, you'd be like, yes, sir.
Good on you,
You'd
mate.
be like, good on you, mate.
Well, I would be like, and just as a sidebar, I actually did audition for a Spates, which was one of the last kind of ads that I auditioned for, and it was a self-tape.
Before you gave up on acting.
One of the last, but I had to audition with the self-tape, and essentially it was like we all have that one mate who gets a little carried away.
I think I went for this too.
Who gets a little carried away, but I don't know, like we got to take care of him or something like that. Over to and then at the end, of course, I had the good on you, mate.
Yeah.
And I was meant to be like a southern farmer, so I wore, of course, a checkered shirt,
which is what all southern farmers wear.
Which is all farmers wear checkered shirts. We all know that. That's
the uniform.
That's a universal truth. Yeah, it's a uniform. They're given that when they're little baby farmers. They put one of those on.
Farmers aren't actually born as babies, though. Farmers are born as small, hardy people that just get bigger, but they're already small and old. Like, can you imagine a baby called Bruce? Yeah, they're not. Yeah. It's because they don't have babies called Bruce. They just come out as like basically full-grown Bruces, but just a little bit smaller.
Yeah. I tried to put a more modern spin on my good on you, mate. Like, I didn't go
Good on
for
you,
the old school
Yeah.
Spates. Good on you,
Yeah.
mate. Like, I didn't go for the manly.
Yeah. What'd you go for?
Yeah, good on you, mate. I kind of went a bit, went a bit more Wesley Pennington with it, to be honest.
Like, good on you, mate.
Good on you, mate. Well, basically, I just kind of tried to keep it a bit more upbeat. So I was like, good on you. But it wasn't the classic, and
they're like, this guy doesn't get it.
Upon reflection,
this guy doesn't get it.
This guy hasn't got it. But of course, I got it. I'm from the South. I've got a checkered shirt. And fucking years, of course, I get it.
And
I'm trying to bring my own to it, guy.
Yeah.
We've all got to evolve.
Well,
but anyway, I didn't get it, so I obviously got it wrong.
I mentioned last week that I had an audition just before the lockdown.
Good on you, mate.
Oh, good on you, mate.
Oh!
And so I said I had an audition, and the problem was that then we went into lockdown live on the show. So that meant my audition was cancelled. But then my agent contacted me and was like, "Oh, they want you to do a self-tape." And I was like, "Absolutely not. I'm not doing that. Wish them the best. Thank you very much for the opportunity. And I hope that the person that gets it enjoys that $15,000. But if they decide they want to do it via Zoom, or once we reach level 2, if they're still looking, then please, I would love a second chance. But I am not going to be able to provide a self-tape. Sorry about that."
Wait.
And I didn't do it.
So they asked for it.
And I was like, no.
And you said no.
I was like, homie, don't play that. Homie, don't play that. Homie, don't play that shit.
This is fucking turning down that audition for Jane Campion's movie all over again.
Yeah. Man and two dogs.
Oh,
man
what
and
a
a
self-saboteur.
dog. Yeah. And also, don't forget my Marvel audition that I said no to.
That's with opposite Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah. So Benadryl Bumbermatch was the Jane Campion movie, and the Marvel movie was a different one. So yeah. But homie, don't play that. Homie, don't play that.
That's right.
Yeah.
Homie, don't play self-tapes. Homie, don't play any other accent than your own. Homie, don't play memorizing lines in a short time.
I memorized lines
too many to learn.
I memorized lines in a short period of time.
Homie, don't play a lot of things. And what doesn't play is any new roles because he keeps turning them fucking down. That's what homie don't fucking play.
I'm just discerning. But no, so the reason why though was I was like, okay, look, I don't have anybody to read the lines opposite me in my bubble. So it's like, and it wasn't like it was a monologue from me. It was like me just with a few little lines here and there. It was basically like, 6 different scenes in a row where one person says something and I say something back sort of thing. But it was not something you could just really do by yourself because I would just be saying one line by myself.
So too many lines. Turned it down.
No, I wanted more lines because if it was just a monologue, then I could just sit there and do some acting. But instead, what it was, them saying something and me saying one small thing, and them saying something and me saying one small thing. So I would just be there going, yes, that's true. Hey, you might be right about that. Why would you do it that way? Just responding to things that nobody is saying to me, but it's meant to be funny and interesting, and it was just one line at a time. And I was like, you know what? This is too much work for the 0.01% chance that I'll actually land the role. So I was like, I ain't shooting a film for these homies. That's the problem with self-tapes is it's like there's no direction. They've just got this little brief. Normally what happens, right, is I get an audition and I do my prep and I think about what they might ask me to do in the room and different ways I can respond, different things I can offer. I get my lines down so that I know my lines even if they ask me to do something unexpected or they tell me it's something completely different. Sometimes you walk in and you go, oh, I know what I'm doing. And then they go, oh, no, you didn't know you're doing it this way. You're doing it that way. You've got to do the other thing. Oh, no. Or sometimes they're like, forget the whole script. Just do this thing. And you do it and whatever happens. But when it's a self-tape, you don't have any of that direction. So you could be completely wrong right from the beginning. right from the very start. So you've just got zero chance, and you're just fucking around, shooting a short film, and acting across from nobody, editing, uploading, fucking Dropboxing, all the rest of it, and you've got it wrong straight from the very beginning because you didn't get any direction from anybody. You've just got this bit of paper that says the script. So that being said, $15,000 would be quite nice, and it was during lockdown. I've really got no excuse not to do a self-tape. But I was like, fuck it.
Yeah, that sounds like that's the best. So after all that explanation, the end part was really the real important one there. So just a little update from the Karangia. She's got back in touch with me, and I've got good news, Harley. All our dreams have come true, because the Samsung Company Limited formally wants to congratulate you, being me, on your big won. A Radom ticket selection was lunch, and your profile was selected among the lucky winners. Thank you. I said, thanks. What do I get? You are among 10 lucky winners that won the sum of $100,000 from our company.
How stupid.
And then she was like, hi. Also, I was just reading that, and before I even had time to respond, hi, speak to me. I said, cool. How do I get it? And she said, how do you want your prize money paid, sir? Check, delivery, or bank-to-bank transfer? I said,
check, please.
PayPal, thanks. I said, PayPal, thanks. We will need your full name, phone number, address, occupation, age. And I said, no, just send to my PayPal, thanks. And she said, no, you have to.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to fill my details.
No, well, you should be like, well, shouldn't you just contacted me because I won? So shouldn't you know my details?
Yeah. You must have all those already. Otherwise, how else
did you find
could you select me?
Yeah. Nice.
Don't you? I mean, I do enjoy this. Well, I do enjoy it till they fucking hack me and fuck up my whole life.
You don't really want to draw their attention. It's like the Eye of Sauron, you know. Like you don't want to put you don't want to put the ring on. You put the ring on by responding, and you draw the Eye of Sauron, the baleful Eye of Sauron, and now it's looking at you, and it's like these
at me.
Horrible shit people who are out there making a living out of conning people out of money, now paying attention to you.
Yeah.
And you've got COVID. Jesus, what a week.
I know. It hasn't been great. I've won $800,000 US.
That's true. That's pretty good. Back to my OnlyFans, by the way, that we mentioned earlier. Ellen really, it's quite a claim to fame that Ellen really launched my OnlyFans. Ellen DeGeneres. You know, like that is quite a big claim to fame, I think.
Yeah. Not many people can say that. In fact, I could see the headline in a cheap clickbait story on the Herald now. Ellen DeGeneres started my OnlyFans.
Yeah, Ellen DeGeneres launched my OnlyFans career. That is quite a funny headline to start with. And then I wonder if I emailed the Herald and the other New Zealand publications, I wonder if they would be interested in a story about that. If I was like, look, I'm the half-hairy guy. You've all done stories on me before. Remember I was on the Ellen show. I can link them all the things. And I'll be like, since then, you know, wouldn't you like to do like a fluff piece, you know, saying like, what's that half-hairy guy been up to? He's had his OnlyFans career launched by Ellen. Now, what would be great about that is that I would get thousands of new followers on OnlyFans. Or maybe hundreds.
Well, definitely hundreds.
Yeah. The problem with that is that I've geo-blocked my OnlyFans so that it can't be seen in New Zealand. just as not. I mean, I don't really care. It's at the top of my Instagram. The link's at the top of my Instagram and all that type of thing. But it's like, well, I mean, I might as well block New Zealand. New Zealand's hardly my audience anyway. It's all middle-aged American gay men that follow me. So if there's any middle-aged American gay men listening, that would, and there's quite a few middle-aged gay American men that tune in actually. And so I think I don't know if this is Chuck Black. I'm pretty sure that Chuck Black must be a middle-aged gay American man. Sorry, Chuck, if you're not, but that's my picture of Chuck Black. I always wonder the same thing: how many Chucks could Chuck Black fuck if Chuck Black could fuck Chucks? So shout out to Chuck Black. But yes, so anyway, that's my audience, and Alan launched me.
Good on you, Alan.
Good on you, mate.
Good on you.
Well, I guess on that note, if you are out of notes, because I am out of notes.
What?
Okay.
Yes. OnlyFans. I have design teaching, launched my YouTube channel as a whole new career as a tech reviewer.
Okay.
And I'm now reviewing the Blackmagic Camera 6K Pro.
Yeah.
And talking about it and getting hundreds of views.
Yeah. Well, what the hell? Why would you not create a series of vlogs on the Pigville channel, which is already monetized and which would help us get a bunch of followers and so forth?
Well, we can put these on the Pigville thing as well. But this is a little bit of a social experiment. Because what I want to see is whether all the shit that I talk within digital media marketing can actually be put into practice, riding the wave of the popularity
of new products,
of a piece of technology that I happen to have access to than everyone else.
Yeah. Well, that's genius, mate. That's exactly how it works. It's exactly what you should be doing. But we should be putting it on the Pigville channel as well, maybe. Like, you should definitely build your own channel.
Yep.
You should build your own channel. That's a good idea.
But I do link into the Pigville channel in the
but we can put that video on the Pigville channel and monetize it instantly.
Straight away.
Yeah. And it'll be generating revenue, getting more subscribers for us, which will lead to them checking out our other productions, our films and so forth.
We'll just upload those.
We'll just start a new playlist, and the playlist will be on the Pigville channel, and it will say like Guy reviewing technology, or Guy's tech reviews, because there's already other ones up there like Harley's poetry, so it could be Guy's tech reviews, and it's you reviewing tech, and they might take off, because tech's a great niche, and YouTube advertisers want you to have a niche audience when you're creating content. So that's the perfect niche, because they can advertise cameras to the people that are watching your video about a camera. So you'll get paid more per click.
So far,
than our average dick joke.
400 views on two different, product things. They're the same thing. It's talking about the camera. And I've amassed 30 subscribers.
Yeah, well, mate, I'm glad to hear this. I just wish that you would focus that energy on growing the Pigville channel specifically.
Well, the difficulty with the Pigville channel is it requires a lot more actual commitment of quality work.
We can just do vlogs. We can do vlogs and tech reviews and anything, all of that stuff. We put it all on the Pigville channel under different playlists within reason. It's still got to have, it can't be too, like, for example, you used to have cocktail videos that you had shot, and I uploaded those to the Pigville channel, but eventually I took them off. And same with this podcast. This podcast used to be on the Pigville channel, and I took them off and moved it over and started a new channel, because I was like, it's starting to clog up the channel now. But anything like vloggy, I reckon we can totally put on the Pigville channel.
Well, these tech reviews have already come under scrutiny, and
they'll do that
what
on the
I've
internet.
discovered. Yeah, what I've discovered is I don't like criticism.
I did know about that.
I'm not a fan of being criticized. I don't like being told I'm wrong.
No, definitely not.
I don't like being ridiculed.
No.
Why
are we even friends?
And what I've realized is it doesn't matter how old I think I've got with everything. I haven't got cool at all. And people can say just very little things and it'll send me into a spiral of anger.
A rage tempest. A rage whirlpool.
Like, and my immediate response, so like I've made these reviews and one of them rig up this camera like cheaply, quickly, because there's no...
and they're like, hey, dickhead, there's a way quicker way. I'm thumbing down.
So they were kind of like, Guy said,
you're gay.
Take this video down. It's irresponsible. Fuck you, cunt.
How the fuck's it irresponsible?
If you don't want to do it, don't do it.
How's it irresponsible, though?
Oh, well, allegedly, it will, like ruin the camera.
So you're telling them how to do a hack, which is going to fuck up their warranty, void their warranty in order to make the camera better in some way.
And it's like, well, you do a rigging video then, cunt. And this is the problem.
Well, I guess as long as you make sure in your video that you tell people that they could void their warranty.
That's the thing. Like, I don't say it can void your warranty. That's unproven, right? That it will void your warranty. Because it's not like a modification to the camera itself. It's like literally putting something on top of the camera. But that's my just response. It's like, oh, you go to the trouble of fucking doing a thing then. Whereas my response should be, it just pisses me off. Off, Harley, because it's like they don't go to the trouble of doing it, but they'll chime in with the snarky comment about how you did it. And that really grinds my gears.
Yeah, I understand, man. I've been and since 2006. I've been getting abuse on YouTube.
But
I've been reading those
things.
The
thing is, like, a lot of those things I find amusing, like a bit more removed from it, even when it's our own stuff. Like sometimes I'm like, oh, that's a good burn. But for some reason, I don't know, these ones are really firing me up.
Well, it's because it's your YouTube, and you're the one who had to spend all that time setting that up and doing all those things, and now someone comes along and shits on
YouTube is still all my stuff as well, or all our stuff, and I don't have quite the same
resilience, thick skin,
anger, but anger does get anyway. So the Savage Filmmaker, if you want to follow my YouTube channel. I'm talking about the 6K Pro.
Yeah, well, you should just post it. Just go to facebook.com/Guy and Harley, and Guy will go there. And because you're an admin guy, you can just make a post on that page, which is the new channel or the latest video. Facebook.com/.
Find a link to my channel.
Guy and Harley. Yeah. Well, what you really want to do is you want to go to your YouTube channel, Guy, and you want to get it. Get the link and go to Bitly, create yourself a Bitly account, and then put that link in there into Bitly just once, and you can call it something nice, and it'll be a nice, short, pretty link. And then anytime you want that link, you just have Bitly as a shortcut on your browser. You just click Bitly, and then you can search for links by keyword. So you might go YouTube, or zombie holocaust, or older, or Emmy the vegan, or whatever. So you just do searches for it, and then all of your links are there in one place that you've just had to create once, and they're all in this one beautiful place, and you can use them whenever you want. And there's analytics, so you can see that, we've actually had hundreds or thousands of people click on this link. That's interesting information and useful information. Yeah, so... Yeah, just do it once. It's free, and then you just do it once, and then it's there forever. And then so do one for your main channel, one for your actual video. But when you do your video, how many videos do you have? 2. Okay, so you got to put those 2 videos into a playlist, and then when you create your Bitly link for your video, make sure you create it from the playlist version of it, not the version by itself. So what that means is if it's the number 1 video in your playlist of 2 videos, that means it'll instantly go to the next video at the end of it. It'll continue playing, and it'll keep them on your channel and get your view time up and make them watch your second one. Whereas if you just do it from your video itself, it'll just be the one video. Then they might recommend a video on a totally different channel, which you don't want to do. So use the playlist version. And then you don't want to have multiple versions, multiple bit.ly links either, for the same video. So you just want that one playlist one.
I'm just reading, shout out to Dottie Pie. Long time no see. Hello, Dottie Pie.
We're sorry that the quality of the stream, it might break up a little this week, but it's funny. As soon as I take my shirt off, Dottie Pie appears out of nowhere. Now I'm wearing a singlet.
Magic.
You can see my hairy shoulders and chest, my big manly beard, and suddenly Dottie Pie pops up on the live stream. What a shock. Shout out to Dottie Pie. Thanks for swinging by. You've probably caught the end of the show.
You definitely caught the end of the show because I'm out of topics. I will also just quickly say I'm a bit late to the party on this one, but for Netflix users, for Netflix watchers, if you haven't already, I do recommend watching Cobra Kai. Have you heard about this one, Harley?
I have heard about this one. It is, of course, the modern regurgitation of the Karate Kid. So yes, and obviously the Cobra Kai dojo were the bad guys in
That's right.
Karate Kid, and so it follows them and their hilarious and interesting adventures.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. So I put off watching this until now.
Yeah,
I was aware of it. It was on my radar. I was like, this is a terrible idea, a bastardization of the great films, the Karate Kid 1 and 2 that came before it, and the not-so-great film 3. And it's elder Ralph Macchio who has to be in this now after drifting through nothing. But actually, it's pretty bloody good. And what makes it good, apart from like not shitting the bed, but they kind of tie it into the Karate Kid in a way. You good there, Harley? Good, mate?
I'm listening.
You smell bad there? Okay. So how they do that smell put you off? Needed to do something about it immediately.
Well, I mean, I was listening. I didn't know you were going to make such a big deal about it. For the listeners at home, listening to the podcast later, I did just put on a little bit of deodorant.
After smelling your
This was for the benefit of the viewers, so that the viewers can't smell me through the smell-o-vision.
So it has the Karate Kid tie-in. They've got the rights to the Karate Kid movies, so they can actually sort of work in tandem with the new shit. And also what makes it really interesting, the bully kid.
The one is this the one who was horribly assaulted by an illegal move?
Exactly. Yeah. He was the one that was kicked in the face using the what was that called? That crane or something? Nah, not crane. What was that?
Yeah.
When he put his arms up and he did.
Yeah.
Good at school.
It's the crane kick. The crane kick. Yeah.
People would just push us over and go, "What the fuck are you doing?" You like really didn't work how I thought it would. Anyway, so he lost to an illegal move.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, fast forward 30 years, what's his life been like? And that's really interesting because what I think it does really well is kind of go, in high school, this is who you were. And what defined continue on adulthood and affect you. Were these the best years of your life? And so there's a lot of good stuff, meat on the bone there. Occasionally, spirit and it's definitely worth a watch for those. Also, they just happened to get super lucky, and I thought about this the other day. It was like fucking insane that all of the people from Karate, right? The big bad guy boss, John Kreese, Johnny Lawrence, the kid who got with an illegal move, Ralph Macchio, apart from Pat Morita, who died, rest in peace. But those key characters, all, and also soon to be Elizabeth Shue, who was the love interest, but all those key characters look their age.
Yeah.
They all look like really good and like, you know, still like actors, even though some of them haven't really been acting that much in all this time. And so you're really fortunate because, like, for instance, if you cut to me in 10 years, I'm probably going to be real, and then people are not going to identify. Oh, okay, 5.
Well, how about you just cut to you right now from older?
Cut to you now.
We'll just cut from older to right now.
Now, from older to now. People aren't going to identify with the fat version of me. That's just not how cinema works. That's not so. Like, when you see something, you want people to resemble what they did back then, right? To look like normal people who have aged.
Which is why you had a very questionable
strategy
strategy of showing up to the older premiere with your grey mullet and mutton chops.
I didn't have a choice. I got to keep those now.
Mullet and mutton chops.
Invested in those.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's the interesting thing, is just they had luck out that the actors that they needed stayed looking good and in great shape and look like they're in these, as opposed to pushing 60. They've had like some cameos from some other people that have aged normally, and they're just completely unrecognizable, you know? And so it's just fascinating. I really feel like they relied on that as a reason for success of the show. Of course, the show itself is good too, but it's really because they look like they did.
I'm sure that
more than anything.
I'm sure
else.
They got a little bit of warning to do a bit of working out as well. But yeah, I mean, there's some aging that makeup, exercise, and lighting still can't fix. Yeah. But you know, well, good.
So check it out if you
will
haven't.
not check that out.
If you're a Karate Kid fan.
I am a Karate Kid fan, but I will not check that out because I'm a true fan.
That's good. That sounds like
something I would say.
Consistent with how you take most of my advice.
Well,
it is consistent.
I wouldn't. I just don't have much time for
you don't have much time.
Scripted drama. No, I don't have much time for scripted drama at the moment. I'm just all about the documentaries lately. It's not to say I won't watch some scripted stuff, but just not too much. You know, I'm mostly not that interested in it. So the latest thing I watched, I just finished it last night, was called Hitler, A Career.
Fuck. Here we go. Harley's Hitler moment.
Hashtag.
Cut to Harley's. Hashtag Harley's Hitler moment.
Hashtag Harley Shitler moment. Now, I watched this documentary last night, Hitler, A Career, right? And it's all about how he came from nothing to be eventually this horrible, murderous dictator.
Hitler.
You know, and so, but
I
always did wonder about that, you know, like, okay, sure. So you've got this guy who's like born into, you know, like obscurity, and not from a wealthy family. How does he end up commanding like aristocratic, you know, generals, military, like Prussian generals and so on, that had been for generations, you know, a long way removed from his, strata of society. You know, like, how does a person with nothing rise up to do all of that? And so this documentary, Hitler, A Career, it's not really about the war. It's about how he came to power and so on. And it obviously ends at the end of the war. And so when he ended. And so, but it was from 1977. So it was really old. And I'm not, you know me, Guy, I hate old things and I never watch old things. But this old thing was actually really well put together and really interesting. And there was just a few times when it showed its age, you know, like so there was occasions when it showed its age and showed its biases from the commentator, you know, the voiceover artist. Like for example, at one point he dropped an N-bomb. He was quoting Hitler, but he nevertheless dropped an N-bomb. And also the voiceover artist was like showed his bias towards England because he was English, and you could tell that it was, you know, from 1977 just on a couple of occasions, but mostly it was just a very interesting open and honest look at how this person manipulated people and how he would, you know, get up in front of people, and, you know, everything was stage managed and everything he did was planned and stage managed, you know, down to quite a specific, you know, points and degrees, which was again very interesting. Like, okay, that's how you create this fervor. You know, people fought for him until the very, very end, when everything was obviously lost. The Reich was 300 meters wide. The Third Reich was 300 meters wide, and people were still fighting for him. Well, how did he do it? By being, you know, cunning and manipulative. And so it was interesting. So that's on Netflix as well. Hitler, A Career. It's 2.5 hours long, and it's mostly black and white. Get into it.
And at what point within the documentary did you come?
Did I say come earlier or something?
No. No.
Right. Well, we've been through this before, Guy. I don't come over Hitler, and I don't I don't come over Hitler. I'm not a Hitler comer. However, I do think that the antagonist in the greatest conflict in human history, the Darth Vader of World War II, I do think that that's an interesting character in the same way that you focus your attention on made-up characters, fictional places, like the Death Star or Darth Vader. I have that same interest, but in history. And this is the greatest villain of all time, right? One of the greatest villains, if not the greatest villain of all time. And this has happened within the lifetime of people who are still alive today. That's interesting. Tell you what, that's interesting, right there. So Hitler, A Career. Go check it out. Or, you know, go and check out Cobra Kai if you feel like something a little lighter. Whatever.
Hashtag Harley's at the moment.
There's one every episode now. It's the new segment.
How much do you need to know about Hitler
before you
How
know
much
enough?
Does one man need to
before you just know enough. You just know enough about Hitler. Now, I'd like to make it very clear. That I don't approve of Hitler's, racial ideologies or his actions. I just think he's very interesting in the same way that you would think Darth Vader is interesting, right? You know, Darth Vader is a genocidal maniac who blew up Alderaan. He blew it up. It killed billions of people. Right? And so you know, you don't approve of Darth Vader, and I don't approve of Hitler. I'm just saying, though, it is an interesting person. It's an interesting historic figure.
Okay, so we've established that you still need to know more about Hitler at this point in your life. To be honest,
it's not really Hitler that I study. I study World War II as a whole. And Hitler is obviously one of the huge... You have to understand Hitler.
Career. It's about Hitler specifically in his career.
Yeah, exactly. But that's a part of my World War II studies. You know, because obviously you can't.
Your world? Did you just say your World War II study?
Yeah.
Like you're going to city because you've watched some documentaries and you listen to hardcore history.
Every morning I watch stuff on YouTube, and it's either World War II. While I'm eating my breakfast and I'm listening to something related to World War II or something related to investing. That's what the two things I'm listening to in the mornings now, or watching. And so yeah, that's where I'm at. World War II. I'm halfway through an autobiography of a Russian sniper fighting in the Great Patriotic War, killing Nazis and Germans as a whole. And so. Yes, I'm studying intently World War II, but not specifically Hitler. Hitler's just part of it, an important, integral part of it.
So Richard Ralph Zabka. What is his first name? He who plays Johnny Lawrence worked out hard for 6 months straight to get in shape for this show. So there you go. My illusion has been shattered. He says, should see how they looked before, especially Zabka. He was heavy. And he looks great. I was like, I guess
I wish I had a motivating project like that. Imagine if you and I were reshooting Zombie Holocaust. I'd be like, all right, I've got to get skinny.
Well, imagine when we do the movie, mate.
Well,
there's all the motivation you need.
Yeah, well, let's set it.
Top's going to be off.
Let's set a date.
Return of the Beast.
To be honest, I'm looking pretty good. I'm feeling pretty good, looking pretty good. Richard Lambeth saw the trailer for Hitler: A Career. He says he thought of Harley when he saw the trailer. So, good.
And you also mentioned the new show Young Rock, which is about Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's life. And he says, are we ready for young Hitler?
I'm sure that one already exists. Young Hitler. It's like young Indiana Jones.
Young Indiana Jones Chronicles.
Well, it's also
the Young Hitler Chronicles.
Or I guess
it's all about him in Germany. So actually, I mean, have you seen? So I've got a Hitler one up on you, Harley. Have you seen a film called Max?
I don't think I have.
It's about Hitler before he became Hitler, when he was a struggling artist. It's fictional. With some elements of truth tied to it. And stars John Cusack, and I can't remember the other person. But anyway, Max. So there you go. There's your hashtag Hitler moment for next week. You can give us a review of that one.
Is it on Netflix, though?
I don't know. I don't know.
Probably not going to watch it if it's not on Netflix. Because if it's not on Netflix, it's not a real movie. It doesn't really exist.
Doesn't exist. It's not real.
Yeah.
It's not a thing.
Young Indiana Jones and young Hitler. That a better example.
Well, you feel they squared off at some point.
A better example would really be the Phantom Menace. The Phantom Menace, when it's young Darth Vader, and you're learning about Darth Vader before he became Darth Vader. And that's what I did last night when I watched Hitler: A Career. I learned about Hitler before he became Hitler, you see. So I was watching the Phantom Menace of World War II, of history.
Hitler
I was watching the Phantom Menace of history. So, yeah.
Whatever helps you sleep at night, mate.
Well, on the Phantom Menace of history, we'd better end this show. So thank you very much to our viewers on the live stream, Richard Lambeth, Tyler Adams, Jezza Housen. We hopefully, it's obviously been kind of watchable because they're still here. So it can't have been too bad to watch. So thank you very much to you guys for tuning in, for watching. Thank you very much to our Patreon supporters. I'm going to start thanking you guys every week. I do really appreciate it, including Tyler Adams on the live stream. Thank you so much to our Patreon supporters. You can support us on Patreon by going to patreon.com/Pigville. You can support us on Facebook, facebook.com/Guy and Harley. And while you're there, hopefully keep an eye out for the Savage Filmmaker. Or was that your name?
That's
the Savage Filmmaker, which is Guy's new channel. We're going to post the channel there. And also you can go to olderfilm.com. That's a great way to support us by watching our films. That's the best way to support us, really. So go to olderfilm.com, hit buy now, and you can see all the different ways to watch Older. I Survived a Zombie Holocaust is also on Amazon Prime. Go and check that out. You can see Immy the Vegan, our new feature film, Immy the Vegan, is available on Amazon Prime. Go and find that. Immy is spelled I-M-M-I. If you watch any of our stuff, please give it good reviews. And then that's probably about enough plugs for this week. Find us on YouTube as well. Find the Pigville channel, which is youtube.com/Pigville and the number 2. And we're going to be ramping that shit up. Oh, and speaking of YouTube, I did also want to say I paid $40 Patreon to join something called SubPals. It used to be like Subscriber Train. It's the new version of Subscriber Train. It's SubPals. And what it is basically they funnel a whole bunch of, this is how this works, right? Is You can go to subpals.com right now with your YouTube channel, and you can subscribe to 10 channels and maybe like 10 videos or whatever they ask you to do, and then you get to put your channel in there. And then so the next guy along has to subscribe to 10 channels, and yours is one of them. So every day you'll get, say, I think it's 10 subscribers, but you have to go there manually, put in your thing, and subscribe to those 10 other channels yourself. That's how it works, but it is free. Subpals.com. But what you can do is you can pay for a proper one, and it's $40 for 1 month, and you get 30 subscriptions per day, and you don't have to subscribe to anybody. It's $40 US. You don't have to subscribe to anybody or anything like that. You just put your channel in there, and then they start rolling in. So I put the Guy and Harley podcast channel in there to get our 1,000 subscribers so that we can finally get around to monetizing this channel. But we still can't do it until we reach 4,000 hours of view time. So we still need you guys to go watch it. So go and check out the Guy and Harley podcast on YouTube as well while you're there. That would help us. Now, Guy, you have some feedback?
Oh, I have noticed that Rich fears that his acting career will one day by his own hand. Nice little Hitler reference there.
I like it. I'm feeling it.
And he also says Harley is seeking that new take on Hitler.
Well, is the new take a reference to something else? Just in general, I'm not trying to rebrand him. Yeah. He's a monster. He's a monster. He is. He's a horrific killer. The injustices of World War II are terrible. Seriously, I am absolutely anti-fascist. I'm Antifa. Antifa to the boner. I'm Antifa to the boner.
Dottie Pie asks, and this is actually something that you may actually do. Will you be watching the new Mortal Kombat?
Yeah.
Have you watched the trailer?
I'm pretty sure I shared the trailer on the Guy and Harley Facebook page, as I recall.
Will you be watching it, though? To the bunker for you?
Well, that's the problem, right? Am I going to go to the cinema? And am I going to go and pay, $18 for a ticket and $20 for a popcorn? Am I really going to do all of that? Or am I just going to not get around to it? And realistically, with that kind of movie, it's not a war film, it's not sci-fi, I'm probably not going to go. But if you were keen, if you were like, let's go, I'd be keen. But unless somebody wants to go, I'm not going to go and watch it by myself, probably. But that shouldn't be a reflection upon my thoughts on the film itself. It actually looks good. It looks like they've done the franchise justice. It looks obviously a lot better than the old ones, even though I liked the first one, the old Mortal Kombat. So it's totally worth watching. But am I going to get out of the house and go to the cinema during a global pandemic and pay a lot of money to watch something when I sit at home and watch shit for free all day? Probably not.
When there's another fascinating Hitler doco on Netflix to tuck into,
which is free. Shout out to Bevan who hooked me up there. So shout out to Bevan. Thank you very much for that, Netflix. And so yeah, exactly. So why would I do that? Tyler Adams points out that he can watch Emmy the Vegan tonight, so that's good. Yes, you can, Tyler. And also,
he's just got his internet back.
Yeah, and
thank God.
And Richard Lambeth is laughing at my referencing to my World War II studies earlier. When I said my studies of World War II, he says, World War II studies. I'm laughing so hard. By this rationale, I study Pornhub and 80s arcade games. Well, you do, mate. You do. Actually, there's a line from Good Will Hunting from Matt Damon. And Matt Damon says in that he's having an argument with a guy in a bar, and he says, who's the smart one here? You paid $150,000 for an education that you could have got for $1.50 worth of late fees at the library. Right? Well, that's me. That's me, man. I'm getting my education without having to, study officially. And that's with you too, Richard. You are studying Pornhub and 80s arcade games. You are an expert in those fields, Richard. So own it, okay? You don't have to pay for a degree nowadays. With the internet, everything is at your fingertips.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to, the paper you publish on Hitler, Harley, and how that will be received by the academic elite.
I hadn't really planned on publishing a paper on Hitler, but maybe I could just generally talk about World War II in some way.
Or you could do this whole spiel about Star Wars' Hitler and or comparison.
Hitler
between the two.
is the Darth Vader of
Vader
history of World War II. Yeah, the antagonist.
And break down the comparisons.
Yeah. Well, I could, and I might. Yeah. So, on that note, we'd better get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
So, thank you so much for tuning in. I've already plugged all the websites. Go check them out. And we will see you next week. I love you guys. I love you so much. Oh, I just want to grab you and hug you. Just want to.
See you later, guys.